All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our weekly Team Passion call. It is Monday, August 7th, and tonight we're going to talk about inviting. And I was I was trying to figure out how I wanted to do this tonight because I've shared what I do like over and over and over and over. And so I figured, you know what, with the Team Passion, with the Body Health Esteem BAT and the 28-day action plan. And I'm always saying that you should just go in your Coach Online office and look around and see what's there for trainings. And I think last week's call, I went in the Coach Online office and I showed you where training was. So I'm going to do the same thing tonight. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you where to go to look for a training on how to actually invite. So, whoops. So if you go to your coach office and you go to training and you click getting started, there is this amazing little PDF type thing here that just kind of talks about the vital behaviors, and it gives you a link right to the 28-day action plan. It gives you a link to the contact list builder, which is great. And then this PDF for how to connect and invite. So, I'm not going to obviously sit here and read through this whole thing because that's something you can do. But I wanted to make sure you kind of knew where this was. So, it's a step-by-step guide. Again, here's the link to the 20. What's happening? What's happening? Stop it. Stop it. The link to the 28-day action plan is also in there. This goes really okay. And then, so this is kind of, you want to go through that first screen that I just told you about and use your context list builder, which we do have a training on this YouTube channel that talks about making your list of your first 100. So you can use that, or you can certainly use this PDF for your first 50. And then it just kind of goes through here how to, that you have group guides to help you when you create your first group. And then here are some script examples. But again, you do want to make sure that they're your own. But, kind of the same thing that we talk about, right? Hey, I saw that you were recently on vacation with your family. I wanted to reach out to see if you'd be interested in joining my group. So you want to always check their social media feed to kind of see what they're doing. The coach on the National Wake Up Call, or the partner on the National Wake Up Call today, talked about how she usually doesn't kind of do that first like connection type thing because it just sometimes doesn't feel right to her. So she just immediately goes right in and says, hey, I'm starting a new group. Wanted to see if you were interested, and goes right into that. But I don't find that that's uncomfortable for me to reference something that they just did. I think it shows that we're kind of paying attention, but that's what's so great about being a body partner. You want to do what feels comfortable for you. So you can kind of go through this whole thing here. So it says, that you're inviting to a workout group topic. I need a workout buddy. And then this is a script. Body block fitness challenge. And here's a little script. If you're going to do the eat more dessert, here's a little script. So whatever you're kind of thinking a business opportunity, here's a little script. So that's great. I'm going to make sure I pull up that. And so so as we talk about all the time, you always want to know what you're inviting to, right? Are you inviting to a fitness group? Are you inviting to the business opportunity? Inviting to a nutrition group? Are you inviting to a total solution group? And when is your group starting? So you really want to have things specific so you know what you're inviting to, so you know what to say to people, and you're not just like, hey, want to do this with me? And then you guys figure it out together, right? Like you want to come across as the expert and know exactly what you're doing and what you're inviting to. And then there's these great what to do when they respond. So it's important for you to, when someone says, yeah, okay, tell me more, you want to ask them questions, right? What interests you most about what I shared? What would you like to accomplish? I loved on the National Wake Up Call, the partner said, imagine, she started her topics or questions with imagine, like imagine what it's going to feel like when you complete your first 3-week program, or, you know, and just getting people to really think about what, not only just joining you, because a lot of times people will be like, well, how much it costs? Like, and you're like, whoa, like, you know, and so you want to kind of get them into this, you know, do you have some current health and fitness goals? Do you have a current weight loss goal? Is there something you're struggling with right now, so that you can hear them? Because it's important to hear their answers. And so helping them, you know, someone the other day said to me, I just get really bored with these programs. So I've yet to complete a program. And she doesn't have body yet. She just has bod. So I was like, well, have you looked at the new 3-week block periodization body blocks? Like, that's exactly what this is for someone like you who's getting bored. Like, do you think you could follow a program for 3 weeks? And she replied, yes, actually, 3 weeks sounds perfect. And so I went in and sent her my video on what that looks like. And so really listening to people's needs and what they're looking for is super important, because then it helps direct you. You know, you can say, well, you know, I invited you to my fitness group, but it sounds like nutrition is where you want to focus. Am I correct? You know, and just kind of validating things. You know, today I made a post that I'm hearing so many excuses right now, like so many. And I know part of it is because it's the summer, but I'm hearing a ton of excuses. And so I made a post like, I'm too tired. I can't find the motivation. I have no energy. I don't want to get up in the morning, you know. And I said, I hear all these very, very, very valid excuses. However, let me give you a little tough love, which is that's exactly what they are. They're excuses. And instead of saying, I don't have time, you're saying, I'm choosing not to prioritize my health right now. And how does that feel? Switching that up, you know? And so getting, you know, really talking to people and using these conversations so that by the end of your interaction back and forth, they're like, when you say, okay, it's $179 or $199, I'm going to get you the full package, they're like, okay, you know. So because if they go right to, okay, but much does it cost, and you just tell them, they're going to be like, peace out. And they're going to, because there's no value in that. You haven't created the value. You haven't shared what they get. They're not invested at all they're thinking about is what they're going to lose out of their wallet, you know. So you have to really make sure you're saying, hey, I will get to that. There are a bunch of different, you know, options. So I need to just ask you a few questions first, because I want you to understand what you're going to get in the package, and then just start asking some of these questions. You know, usually my first question is, do you tend to struggle with daily exercise, finding time for daily exercise, or nutrition? And usually the answer is both. And so then I just go into, you know, how would it sound to start with a 3-week beginner program, since you just said you haven't worked out in 3 years, like, you know. And so just really validating what they just told you, and then turning it into, you know, creating some of that value for them. And so you'll go back and forth for a little bit in that questioning. And then right here is how to ask for the sale. So based on what I've shared, I really think my accountability group would be a perfect fit for you. I think for beginners only, you know, is a great place to start. It's easy to follow. It's 3 weeks. You'll complete a program, and you'll get into that 21-day habit, because that's how long it takes to create a habit. Do you want me to send you a video on what a body block looks like. And then this is like a Vimeo video. I like to send the video that I did myself just because it has me and it's not a infomercial. So you can always make videos where you're just doing like a quick 5-minute video sharing what they're going to get in your group. And then when they say they're interested, you go into how to close the sale. Great. Here's what, we need to do next. And then I don't give them the link. I set up a share a cart. But if they're still on the fence, say what are still some of your concerns? How can I help with some of your concerns? And please use feel, felt, found. Like when someone says, well, I've tried these things before and I always quit. I always feel like I fail. I know exactly how you feel. I felt that way too. And what I found was when I joined an accountability group and had access directly to a body partner, I was able to stick with this. And because it's only 3 weeks, I completed a program 5 days a week, 3 weeks, 30 minutes a day, and I already succeeded. So using feel, felt, found. I know exactly how you feel. I felt that way too. I found that. You don't have to use those exact, wording, but, just using that so that they understand that you were there too. Or if it's not your story, if someone says, I don't have the money, you could use my story. You could say, I know exactly how you feel. My friend Nicole didn't have the money either. She had just had an infant and a toddler at home, but she was realizing that if she didn't make a change, things were going to continue. She wasn't going to make healthy choices, whatever. So you can, if it's not your story and you're like, well, I never felt that way. You've heard tons of our stories. So somebody felt that way. And then, just say, I think the Body Essentials collection is going to be perfect for you. It gives you 20 days of our pre-workout, 20 days of our superfood shake, a whole year of body, which gives you a mindset tab each day, hundreds of healthy recipes. And I have a promo code, so it brings it down to under $200. How does that sound? And they still might be on the fence, so, and if they say, I'm not really sure, I'm going to think about it, just say, is there any more questions I can answer for you? Or could I follow up in 2 days to see where you're at on this decision? And then you're asking for permission for that follow-up. So don't be afraid. Like, you command the conversation. That's, I think, the biggest struggle that people feel, is commanding the conversation. So I'm going to just stop this here for a second and come to you. So you're the expert, right? You know exactly what people are going to get. You know what's in this library. You know all the value. So don't be afraid to share it, but then also don't be afraid to ask the hard questions of them. Like, think about how you felt or how some of us felt. Like, yeah, we all had these excuses. I don't have money. I don't have time. I've tried all this before. Like, I don't like at-home workouts. I want to chew my food, all the things, right? Like, there's so many things out there that we've heard or that we've said that you can say, I know, I felt the same way, but I'm so glad I took the opportunity. I took a chance on this. It was different. It feels different. And it's a health esteem focus, and you can still eat healthy desserts. And, you just kind of go into all of the value without sharing too much, without like them being like, well, stop, right? Use the voice memo thing. But if you use the voice memo thing, try to only use one. So that 60 seconds or less. Like, don't use the voice memo thing and have them have, 7 messages, right? Like, I know we can go longer than a minute now, but try to keep it really short and sweet and then say, let me know what you think about that. And then we can go from there. Like, so let them pause on what you just said and you go from there. Yeah. Is that helpful? Is it going to be helpful for you to kind of go back and look up little scripts and little ideas? And I think the biggest thing is your confidence. And so here I shared a couple weeks ago or sometime, I don't know when, that I think if you only do like 2 invites today and maybe 1 on Thursday, and then don't do any again till the following Tuesday, like this is not a way to build your confidence. Like it's not going to get easier. It's going to feel like you're starting over with invites every single time you sit down and go, okay. Like if you can consistently choose a number, whatever that number looks like for you, 3 a day, 5 days a week. So that's 15 people to actually send an invite, not a, hey, how's the summer going? Like that doesn't count as one of your 15. Like you're actually asking them to join your group. The connections you should be doing every day. How's summer going? Reconnecting with people. You should be doing at least 5 of those a day. But actually at least 3 people. If you're not doing any right now, then I'm going to say start with 3. 3, 5 days a week, whatever those 5 days look like for you, so that you're actually saying, hey, I have a group starting on 9/11 now, because today we started one. I would love to invite you and share a little bit about what we're doing. Is this something you're interested in hearing more about? Like it's very, like someone watches my story and I'm like, thank you so much for watching my story. Are you currently working on some health and fitness goals? Sometimes that's all I say, and that leads into, I have a group, or someone will be, because I'm so consistent with talking about the girls, the dogs, life, my fitness routine, posting pictures of my food, some personal development quotes, because I have 3 to 4 posts every day on my feed and 2 to 3 stories. It's way easier for me to be like, hey, how are things going? I just kind of I'm reconnecting with Facebook friends, because what ends up happening is they ask me first. Like it's very rare that I have to go from, hey, how's the summer going, to you want to join my group, because they say, this is happening a lot. I'll be saying something like, I'm just reconnecting with all my Facebook friends. It looks like you're enjoying your summer. They're like, I am. Yes. How are you doing? And I'm like, oh, summer's going so fast. And we start having this conversation back and forth. And then they're like, I wish I could get up and work out every day like you do. Like 90% of the time that happens. There's a small percentage that I have to like put them in for a follow-up to go in and invite them. The other thing is the follow-up. It takes people 8 to 10 times or more to hear something and be invited to say yes. What is the most common thing on the National Wake Up Call each week that one of the partners says? My coach invited me 10 times. My coach invited me 5 times. I said no 6 times, right? It's so you just have to keep going and you have to follow up. That it's a whole like sales thing. Think about how you make a purchase, right? Like I'm currently right now, no one's contacting me personally with this, but this is just something I could think about right now. I keep getting this ad for these sheets that say they're pet resistance. They're like no fur sheets and a quilt. And I'm like, really? Because Ollie's hair is all in our bed. It's like disgusting. I have to like vacuum our bed like every day, but I can't kick him out, right? So I'm like, oh my gosh. So literally I'll see it, and then Facebook will be like, hey, you forgot. It looks like you were looking at this. I'm like, I know, I was. And then I'll get an email. Hey, did you forget something in your cart? I'm like, oh, yes. And then I'll send it to Mark and go, I don't know if this is a gimmick. Do we think that this really works? Right? Like, and I'm going through, and the company is hitting me, at least a few times a week. And I remember like I had pictures on my phone of it and I deleted it. And then like 2 days later, it popped up again. I'm like, ah. And I'm like, I don't even know how much they are yet. Like I haven't clicked like that far yet. I'm just trying to decide if it's real or not. So it's something like that. Think about when you're making a purchase, how many times something you have to be sold to before you finally say yes, right? And so you're not being a pain, you're not being annoying. And as long as you're being yourself, like there's times where, like, I have someone right now who messaged me in April and she said, I go to the gym, but I want to get back on Shakeology and I do want to get the body membership because I think it'd be great to have access to yoga at home and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, great. Or March, she messaged me. So then I sent her the cart, what flavor, sent her the cart. She didn't check out. So in April, I'm like, hey, I'm just checking back in. And she's like, we ended up owing more money in taxes than I thought. I'm sorry. Catch me in June. Great. I put her in for the follow-up in June. I'm like, hey, with college and everything's stressful right now. Catch me in August, and so I have her on my follow-up list. So we've talked since March 4 to 5 times, and I don't know what's going to happen. I think she's on my list in the next couple of days, but when they're ready, they'll be ready. And she's not ghosting me, and she's not saying, oh, just leave me alone. I don't know when I'm going to do this again. Right. Like she's just like, oh, and she keeps, and I'm like, okay, just let me know when you're ready. That I'm here, and so and in the past I've said things like, I've followed up, and then I've said something like, oh my gosh, I think we're getting to the point where I'm potentially stalking you. Is this something you want me to maybe come back around and contact you in 60 days? And then they'll be like, yeah, actually, that sounds really good. So then they'll answer me when I start, like, make a joke or just use some of my personality. And so as long as you make it like that, I've been doing this for 13 years and nobody has ever come in my inbox and said, just leave me alone. I don't want to do this. Like, it's been, thank you so much for consistently following up. I really appreciate it. I think I'm going to wait until the fall. Perfect. Is it okay if I put you in for September 15th, once school's in, everything started? Yes, that sounds great. And then September 15th, I'm like, hey, and then along the way, I might do some follow-ups. That person might be on my list because they had said, the person that I'm talking to right now, that is like, oh, I have college, oh, I have this. I'm checking her timeline and I'm commenting on her stuff and I'm I'm engaging with her from now until that time, because I do it because I care and I enjoy seeing what everybody else is doing, but I also want her to know that, like, I'm paying attention. Like, there's been a lot of times where someone has said to me, I'm getting married in 2 months, but I definitely want to join once I recoup some money. And so I make sure I write down that wedding date. And the night before, I'm like, oh my gosh, have a most magical day. And they're like, oh my God, you remember? Like, just those little things are super important. And all of these little things add up and make our business so much easier. If you're not engaging with anybody on your social media right now, and you're just having to send messages, that's hard. Like, you can do it, but I can see how that can be hard. So you got to make sure you have your list somewhere that you're connecting with 5 to 10 people every single day so that you know what's going on in their life and they feel like you care. Like she shared on the partner call on the partner shared today on the National Wake Up Call, that she doesn't just invite people to her free group. She sends a message. And I've shared that before. Like, that was something big when I did Party Light parties. I was always telling my hostesses, do not just send a postcard in the mail saying, please come to my Party Light party. Like, that doesn't feel like an invite. That's like you're just inviting everybody. And I don't feel like that was personal enough. And so I always tell them, send the postcard, but say, hey, I pop a quick message or a text. Hey, I just sent you a postcard. I'm having a Party Light party Not sure if you've ever heard of the candles, but I love them. I've been using them for years. I would love for you to come catch up. We're going to have some wine and cheese. It'll be super fun. Right? Like I'm going to maybe go to that versus just receiving a postcard in the mail. It's going right in the recycle bin. Right? So that's what you have to think about with your invites. You need to make things personal. Don't just mass invite to groups. Don't mass invite to events. Make it personal. Hey, I have a group starting. I actually have an event set up where I'm sharing, kind of sneak peeking what I'm doing. Here's the event if you'd like to learn more, right? So those are my inviting tips, my follow-up tips. It's really, this is a direct sales company, a network marketing company, but it's a relationship marketing. Like this is relationship marketing. You've got to make things personal with people. And this is I've talked about this before. This is a big personal decision. People are uncomfortable. The scale's climbing. They don't feel well. This is a big personal decision. So for you to just come in, without having talked to them in 5 years, like that's not going to sound like, you got to make sure you're connecting with people, but also holding back from the people that you do have a connection with and not inviting them is another, like, they're going to be like, why hasn't she asked me? I always catch myself being like, why haven't I asked so-and-so to join me? Like I talk to them all the time. Right. And so don't fall into that trap. Don't assume they're kind of just waiting for you to ask them. There's so many people out there that need what we have that it'll feel like you care, and you can say, as moms, I know that we're getting older and, whatever your demographic is, like just pull in what you're going through that potentially they are going through and say, I would love to just do this with you. Like that's my invites are, I would love to do this with you. Do you want to do this with me? Like that's how I end my invite. Hey, looks like you're having a great summer. I'm so excited for routine to start. I'm starting a new group on 9/11. I thought of you. I would love to do this with you. Is that something you'd be interested in hearing more about? Like it's just very conversational. Make it very easy. Do you guys have any questions? Or comments?
I was just thinking when you were talking about, making it personal versus, the postcard, I was thinking back to back when Holly and I first started talking about me coaching. She would say this one thing that I found out later was from Beachbody, and it was so annoying to me at the time because it was like, well, do you think you could go to a pawn shop and, sell something? And I remember being like, so I sell something of value and I get ripped off, because pawn shops rip you. And I'm glad like they moved away from that.
Oh, I don't remember. I don't remember ever saying anything.
I remember it very clearly. And I remember hearing that other Beachbody coaches were saying that. So it came from somewhere. And I was just like, I am not selling something of value. Yeah, because I had dealt with pawn shops before, right? So I was just like, no, it's not the way it works. You're going to sell something of much higher value and they're going to rip you off. It's the way it works. But anyway, like I have been talking more with people lately and just it feels good to like reconnect. I certainly know that, I shut people out. I had to. There's no other way to get around it. I had to shut people out, but it feels good to start talking to them again. And it feels more natural actually than it ever has. And I think it's because there are times when something happens in my life and I'm sitting there going, okay, what am I going to do? Or I'm nervous to do that. And then I go, you've already faced the worst thing that can happen to you. You've already faced it. So what's going to happen? Someone says no. or, so that's how my brain has been working. And I think that's why it just feels more natural, because it's not, the fear is gone, so to speak.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm not emotionally attached to an answer.
Exactly. And you are going to hear no way more than you hear yes. And that's the thing. And that one of the things that tells you if you're talking to enough people is if you're consistently hearing no. Like if you're not hearing no at all, you're probably not talking to enough people because they're either ghosting you or, so if you're not hearing not right now, maybe late, whatever, they usually people don't go, no, like it's an excuse. Like they'll say, not right now. And you would say, is there a better time? I'm starting another group in September, whatever. You don't want to end the conversation. I always think about, what if Keith ended the conversation with me when I said, oh, I can't really afford this. I'm not even paying my bills, and I'm in the red. Like I'm deciding which bills I'm going to pay, and I'm putting groceries back on the belt, and I actually can't even afford to put gas in my car. So I don't know how I'm going to come up with all this money to purchase this package. And, for him to then flip the script and say, there's actually a business opportunity that goes along with this. So as you share your story, you could earn money. And I'm like, okay, wait, what? So, what if he just was like, okay, well, let me know when you get some money, or go sell something, like what, so I always think about him not having that fear of continuing the conversation with me and maybe offering another solution and being like, what, it sounds like this is something you'd really like to do and something you need in your life. So how can we get you started? And just kind of really having that conversation with me. So, yeah.
So I had a friend who tried Shakeology last year, loved it. She has like joint issues and she felt good, right? For like a week, because she had like a week supply. And she was so excited. And then I could never quite get her there, right? And so, and we're good friends, so we stay in contact regularly. So I had talked to her in June, and it was like, well, you know, I think money's kind of tight right now, and I'm really worried about this. And then I see all the things that they're doing, and I'm like, is that really what the objection was?
Right.
Why, so the last time I kind of straight talked to her, and I said, the only thing I would say to you, I'm like, regardless of whether or not it's Beachbody or you do something else, I'm like, why are you putting yourself last? Like, why is that what's going on hold? You know, um, and she said she didn't know. I was like, okay, well, that's honest,
Yeah. Yeah. You just always want to keep that conversation going and see, and just know. And I always end with, regardless, like if I know the conversation isn't going to end with we're purchasing, I'm here whenever you're ready. Please know that, and I always kind of end with that, and they're on my list for a follow-up. So good. All right. Anything else? All right. So, as a reminder, make sure you're posting in the Team Passion Daily Business Activity Tracker post every day in the partner page. You're sharing, pictures of your bat, whatever you want to do, however you want to share in there. But it's great accountability, and it's great to see other people posting in there, and kind of like the workout log, they talk about your workout, talk about what your business day looked like, because it just helps other, we're a team, so it helps other people know kind of what's going on, and maybe where the struggle is, where the challenge is. Some days some people are just getting their product and their personal development in, and that's fine too. Like on the weekends, I write in the log, I didn't talk to anybody today, but I did this, this, and this, so just make sure you go ahead and do that. And the more people that do that, I can start giving prizes away. I don't give prizes away anymore because I'm the winner every week. So, or it's the same people. It's like, I'm like, Lauren, stop sending you know, the same person the prize every week, every month. She's like, okay. So, all right. Have a good night. I hope this was helpful.